Welcome back to Bombastic Nation and ting and ting and ting. Back with some more vibes for all you. And some people requested that I do a little bit more about Grenada thing. They want to check it out, you know what I mean? See what the vibe is there. And voila, Geography now has got something on Grenada. So, I'm going to check it out and take it or see what they say and all of that. You know what I mean? So, I ain't going to keep all you waiting no more. This one is called Geography Now, Grenada. Let's YouTube and simmer.
It's pronounced Grenada.
Yeah, not Grenada, Grenada.
Well, we've reached our 7th Caribbean country, Grenada. As you know, each Caribbean country kind of has a little quirk that they're known for, and now we reach the Spice Island.
Yeah.
We'll explain why in a bit, but first... Well, we're back in the Caribbean. Let's just jump into it. Grenada is the southernmost Caribbean archipelago nation located in what is called the Windward Islands at the tip of the Grenadine chain, right below St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and less than 150 kilometers away from the tip of Venezuela or Trinidad and Tobago in the south. Grenada is made up of 3 main islands, Carriacou, Petite Martinique, and the largest one, Grenada. In addition, the country owns a little over 20 smaller uninhabited or barely inhabited or...
That place called Carriacou, every summer they have a regatta there. And I remember as a kid, we would take this boat and go to Carriacou, and it was like schooners, I think they call them boats, boy. And they used to go through this stretch of water called Kikamjini, and Kikamjini sits above a dormant volcano, and the waves were up. And I remember just sitting on this boat, and water would splash into it and thing, you know what I mean? But then once it calmed down, and you start getting close to Carriacou, there was this little rock island type thing there. There was some trees on it, but there was a bunch of goats on there. I don't know. I think somebody said that people would bring their goats out there and leave them out there. I don't know, but that was kind of strange. But then you go to the regatta and there's just all kinds of stuff going on, music, cool vibe going on and thing. Just wanted to throw in a little tidbit there.
or partially inhabited or privately inhabited islands, like Rond Island, Kale Island, Large Island, Saline Island, and Frigate Island, and Diamond Island. Diamond Island. Ooh, I never realized how perfect those two words sounded together. Diamond Island. Thanks, I needed a title for my novel. Grenada is divided into 6 parishes, each named after a saint, whereas Carriacou and Petite Martinique hold a dependency status, with the capital and largest city St. George's.
That's where I'm
right,
from.
Not St. George, St. George's.
Yeah.
What exactly they're referencing in terms of his ownership for George, I have no idea, but it's his town. Hey, maybe that's what they're talking about. St. George's town. This is also where the largest and only international airport, St. George's Maurice Bishop International, can be found. Pearl's Airport used to be the main airport.
That's how I
but
left the
then kind of
country.
Evolved into a go-kart racetrack and Soviet aircraft graveyard where cows kind of like to graze. About 94% of the population lives along the coasts of Grenada Island and are interconnected by the main road that loops all the way around the entire domain. Otherwise, some notable spots in Grenada might include St. George's Market Square, Fort Frederick, the walking tunnel between the Carnage and the seaports, the Carnage and
I tell you what, man, I'm 7 feet tall. Going through that tunnel was scary. I had to walk like this. I used to go through there all the time. I don't know why, but I used to be so scared because some trucks would come and scrape the sides of it. They're so tall. You know what I mean? And me being tall, it's like I used to run through that bad boy, man.
itself is awesome too. The underwater sculpture park, Fort George overlooking the city of St. George's, and everywhere you find the Hurricane Ivan destroyed buildings that add a sort of charm to Grenada's town life. Check out this channel right here, Goats on the Road. They have an extensive series on Grenada that shows the beautiful sights, and most of these places are mentioned. And with that promotion done and said, let's explain why this place is called the Spice Island.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, at first glance, you would assume that the Caribbean islands are pretty much the same in physical makeup, but in many cases, that couldn't be further from the truth.
True.
Now, although they were all formed by volcanic activity, not all the islands in the Caribbean came out with the same features. This is why you have specific regional designations for the Caribbean island clusters, like the Greater Antilles, the Lesser Antilles, the Lucayan, Leeward, and Windward Islands, as well as the Leeward Antilles. This is why places like flat, boggy Barbuda looks almost nothing like volcanic lake boiling Dominica. Grenada is the last and final island chain in the Grenadine Grenadines, known for being rocky, tropical islands with more volcanic activity, as their northern cousins have mostly Holocene and extinct volcanoes. Grenada boasts two main volcanoes, the tallest point, Mount St. Catherine, and Kikumjeni, located right in the middle of the sea. I'm not even joking, look it up, that really is what it's called. Now finally, let's answer that question. If you look at a zoomed satellite map of Grenada, you'll notice that unlike the other islands, Grenada isn't overtaken by large patches of geometrically cultivated crop fields. But don't be fooled, those open areas that look like large, lush green forests are actually nutmeg plantations. Out of all the Caribbean islands, thanks to the extremely rich soil, Grenada is known for being the spice island because they are the world's second largest producers of nutmeg after Indonesia. Indonesia, a country that is like over 2,000 times the size in population and 5,000 times the size in land area. They are also the only country that produces prime quality mace. In addition, they also grow quite a bit of cloves and cinnamon. Many people who visit say that when walking through the country, you can actually smell the spice in the air constantly. It's like walking through a scented candle. The size of an entire tropical island.
Oh yeah.
Other food crops are grown throughout the country, including breadfruit, which is used to make the national dish oil down, a conglomeration of spices, salted meat, veggies, and breadfruit.
I want some now.
Well-stocked island thanks to the high average annual rainfall at over 300 centimeters. You have these consistently flowing streams and rivers and waterfalls such as the famous Seven Sister Falls and the longest river, St. John's River. Animals like armadillos, agoutis, monkeys, and the national animal, the rare Grenadian dove, can be found scampering about in the interior forests. There is a catch though. Grenada is kind of like right in the path of hurricane territory. The most damaging ones to have hit being Hurricanes Ivan and Emily back in 2004 and 2005.
See, I don't know what he's talking about. I grew up there and never was in a hurricane. Not once. There was a hurricane that hit in 1955 called Hurricane Janet. That was the only one I've ever heard about. We get storms a lot, as far as I know, but I've never been in a hurricane. Lately, there've been a little bit more hurricanes, but I live a lot of my life there. Never been in a hurricane at all. You know what I mean? So I don't know why he's saying we're in the path of it, but I guess there's meteorology. How do I say that word? Meteorological evidence for that, but I didn't experience it.
Otherwise, other notable natural spots might include Sunnyside and Hyde Park Tropical Gardens, Sandy Island, Grand Etang National Park, Morne Rouge Bay, Grand Anse and La Vera beaches, Black Bay Beach with Amerindian markings, Lake Antoine, great for bird watching, oh, and you can enjoy it all with some Clark's Court rum. Some of the locals like it, some don't, but hanging with them will be the best, no matter what you drink. Here are some more on them. Grenadians. That's what you call them, like Canadians. Not Grenadans, Grenadians.
Yeah.
Good. Grenada might seem like a typical Caribbean country, but if you go back to the 70s, things got a little weird. First of all, Grenada has about 113,000 people, and about twice as many ethnic Grenadians live abroad outside of Grenada, meaning that there are more Grenadians outside of Grenada than in it. Over 80% of the population comes from Black African descent, about 10% are mixed, 4% are Indian, like from India, and the rest are other groups including whites and indigenous Caribbean peoples. They also use the East Caribbean dollar, they use the Type G British style outlet, and they drive on the left side of the road. Now,
we work for the face of the Queen.
Why is there a noticeable Indian population? Well, as you'll soon find out in a future video coming up, basically the British kind of brought them over in colonial times as indentured servants.
Indentured servants.
You know, they kind of just made their home. Made? You know, they kind of had to. Yeah, you know what I mean. Essentially, the British didn't let go until 1974. I mean, kind of. They're still kind of like a commonwealth. When Grenada joined the sovereign spotlight. For about 5 years, things were kind of weakly transitioning, and then this guy came in and kind of flipped the script entirely. Maurice Bishop ousted the prime minister in 1979, and this guy was a total Marxist and immediately made ties to other communist bloc countries like Cuba, Nicaragua, as well as the Soviet Union and East Germany back when those things were things. Nonetheless, Maurice made it very clear that Grenada would not be a Soviet bloc state, just an interactive cooperator. Long story short, his own cabinet started to hate him, they killed him, and just as things were about to get buck wild, the Organization of East Caribbean States and 600 U.S. medical students made an appeal to the U.S. intervention, and in 1983, paratroopers and battalions and even Delta Force came in, and it was like, hey, stop it. Fine. And then Margaret Thatcher was like, hey, that's not cool. But, I guess they got the job done. And then the UN was like, hey, we unanimously disapprove. But then a year later, they were like, I guess they're back to normal again and peaceful. Whatever, fine. America! Sometimes destructive intervention leads you to freedom! Keyword sometimes. I'm just reporting what happened in the 80s. Anyway, because of the short blip in communism, Grenadian culture has always had a slight historical controversy undertone that other Caribbean states don't quite have. I mean, all the Caribbean states do have some kind of controversy, but not like partying with East German officials controversy. Nonetheless, they love reggae, soca, and calypso music. You know how as a kid, your parents kind of forced you into taking piano lessons? Well, in Grenada, in many parts, it's actually steel drum classes.
Again.
Grenadians are also known for being inventors of jab music and culture, which sometimes involves covering yourself in tar and oil with masks and chains. It's confusing. The funny thing is, historically, Grenada was subject to both the British and French colonial powers until eventually the British kind of gained control. Although English is the official language, to this day, the French influence lingers ever so slightly in things like many people having French surnames or Grenada having two different types of patois dialects, one derived from English and the other from French. Also, you can tell faith-wise, nearly half of all Grenadians are either Catholic or Protestant, harkening back to the respective denominations of their former colonizers. Also, it explains why they celebrate French-influenced carnival, which is celebrated in August, not February, but British-influenced cricket is the most popular sport. Otherwise,
Yeah, the carnival was in February, but Trinidad have a massive carnival in February. We too small to compete with them. Their stuff is massive, you know what I mean? So they move it back to August.
Notable Grenadians would probably include people like Formula One driver Lewis Hamilton, calypso artist singer Francisco, or
Boom.
the Mighty Sparrow. Jennifer Hostin was the first black woman to win
I remember
the
that
competition in 1970. Aline Francique, Kiriani James, Hollis Mapp, Eric Gary, Daniel William, and Keith Mitchell. It's interesting to see how Grenada has progressed into the country that it is.
The revolution that you talk about Morris Bishop did took over from E.M. Gary. And my parents were E.M. Gary supporters.
In such a short amount of time. Of course, they had a few others involved in the process. Now, you can probably tell that Grenada has gone through quite a few revolutionizing transitions in its past half-century of history. First of all, the UK has always had close ties to Grenada even after they let go. Grenada is still classified as a commonwealth, so every so often the Queen sends her regards and relief aid when necessary. Prince Harry also kind of visited to check up on them recently. No surprise, the US and China have been jumping on trade development and investment for decades, and the US houses a significant population of citizens of Grenadian descent. When it comes to their best friends, though, most of the Grenadians I talked to have said two countries, Cuba and Trinidad and Tobago. Cuba is kind of like the remnant of the former communist years that still maintained close ties. The country offers scholarships and excellent medical benefits specifically to Grenadians, whereas Trinidad and Tobago is kind of like the big brother, just down south. Many Grenadians have family in Trinidad and likewise Trinidadians in Grenada. And
a lot of family members on my dad's side live in Trinidad.
they've had a healthy yet slightly competitive friendship for centuries. In conclusion, Grenada is like a split French-English influenced island that smells really good, dabbled in communism at one point, and dances to calypso. Stay tuned, Guatemala is coming up next.
Yeah, my peeps, man. That's my peeps there. Woo. That was a cool video and thing, you know what I mean? I hope you guys enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed it. Even though I know all the stuff that happened there, it's always cool to see your own vibe on the scene, you know what I mean? But that was kind of cool. I don't know if he said it there, but we don't even have an army. I think he said it there. We don't even have an army. We gonna fight. We're out in the middle of the ocean. We'll have to have a really good naval force, and we just have some Coast Guard people out there. But anyway, man, thank you all for watching this with me and Ting. You know what I mean? But don't stop watching. Keep watching. I got good stuff there. Got stuff on Russia. Got stuff on Germany. Have one on Ireland. Have a couple on the US. I got all kinds of historical stuff there. You know what I mean? And I also have one that's where you could just go watch and laugh. It's called the funny one, the funny clips or whatever, you know. Just go check that vibe out, you know, laugh a little, watch people act crazy. But you know, these things here, man, this historical stuff, yeah, I'm having fun doing that. So go check it out. See me do my thing, you know, and hey, you're watching it with me. We like famine thing, you know what I mean? But anyway, man, make sure you take care of each other, okay? Cool runnings.